So in most of the world, we use both type of communication modes, oral and written, and especially in certain countries like Africa and all African countries, they mostly rely on oral communication, right? So at this point, I would like to emphasize, like, if you need, you can have a notebook with you, like certain important things can be taken note of. And then I'm also recording this lecture, so in case you have to come and repeat when you're reading these things again, you can always have a look at the video. I'll be sharing the YouTube link as well after this lecture. Okay, so in oral type of communication, so oral means where you use purely the mouth to communicate. Um, there are three types of rules. One is how do you use correct pronunciation, or we call it phonology. Second one is how to use the correct words for the correct scenario. So that's called the semantics. And the third is the grammar, how to use the correct grammar. So when all these three are important when you use the oral form of communication. And when you focus on verbal communication, we have to follow the spelling rules instead of pronunciation, because now we don't talk there, right? So there are more emphasis on spellings. Okay. Then we have something called verbal oral communication under verbal communication subcategory. The following list indicates some of the most important oral communication methods that we use in the workplace, right? You will involve face-to-face communication. So this is one method. Other one is telephone conversations. Intercom. Have you heard of intercom? So intercom is like something, a device like this, like, short range communication within the office, room to room or different departments. You might have seen this in certain offices, or sometimes you might see it on a wall. It is fixed like this, so you click on a button and you answer or send a message. That's called intercom, right? So that's one method. Um, then you may involve in announcements. So that is also another oral form where you use a public speaker or a mic, loudspeaker, and you do an announcement within the office environment. You conduct interviews, or you will face interviews. You will conduct meetings, conferences, seminars, questions, asking questions to people, uh, listening to radio, or you may be doing a program in a radio related to your company. You may conduct workshops, lectures. So all of these things are part of verbal or oral communication. Some examples, right? So in detail, we'll be looking at those things later. Then when we come to written communication, when it comes to verbal written communication, so fundamental difference between verbal oral communication and verbal written communication is, as we saw earlier, in verbal oral communication, we focus more on the pronunciation, and in verbal written communication, we focus more on the spelling corrections. So the following list indicates some of the most important written communication methods that we use in the workplace. So notices, magazines, posters, banners, reports, manuals, gazette notifications, invitations. So all these examples here are in one or more forms. We will be directly or indirectly involved as a manager of a company or an employee of a company. We will be involved in these kind of verbal written communication methods. So we should be aware of uh, how each of these verbal communication methods are going to be used. So I think in the later uh, chapters you will have certain things, certain guidance, how to write memos, how to prepare an advertisement, how to like write a letter, official letters, things like that are coming back. Even how do you organize an email, etc. So before that, it's better to know that these are available written communication methods. Then you have both verbal and non-verbal form of communication, which is called mostly visual communication. So you communicate a message through displays. So visual communications are sometimes verbal, sometimes non-verbal, and sometimes it can be both. For example, a big banner you see on a street is a visual communication, which is verbal. It conveys a message. A signboard, instructions to motor car drivers, as we see on the roads, are non-verbal. Then there are signs with verbal instructions, which contains both non-verbal and verbal messages. So here are some of the visual communications which we can use in our communication process. So for example, displaying a photograph. You may have a illustration. What is illustration? Illustration means like they may give you some set of banners to say, okay, set of images. Okay, first step this one, second step this one, something like that. You will have a graphical notification. So just to give you an idea. Instructions in library, for example. Let's say now these kind of images. I hope you get the idea. So for example, this kind of image you see here. So when you put a message like this, so people can get an idea. Okay, these are things that we should do and we shouldn't do, depending on the scenario. Or maybe you might have seen a lot of banners circulated these days for this precautions of coronavirus, right? All those are kind of illustrative visual communication methods. Then you have symbols like saying, okay, for example, you might have seen in the public toilet. So you will have this male sign, female sign, right? So that's the visual communication. Signboards or signs, sometimes no parking. You have this P with a cross. Shapes, diagrams, maps, plans, all are some sort of visual communication process. So the 8 forms of visual communication are identified in this list. Now there are some other things we can use in our business scenario. Colors, the use of colors, trademarks, packaging, brands, architectural style, dress, all these are going to also be some kind of visual forms. So I think some of these we'll be discussing below. So these things also matter in business communication as a visual form of communicating. Apart from that, where you have oral and written together, which is combined together, another form of communication, films and video. Now, if you look at films, it may appear like it is visual, but you have a story there, right? Story writing is there. Without a story writer, without a lyricist, you can't have a film. You can't just make a film, otherwise it's just useless. So you can see both of those mode of communication is represented in films and videos, television, internet, voicemails, right, etc. It keeps on. Okay. Apart from that non-verbal form of communication, you have your facial expressions, body movements, order. You know what is order? Anybody? Sorry, I stopped sharing. Everyone knows what is order? No? Okay. Order means, use of smell. Now you can communicate a message even through the use of smell, right? So you can take good and bad examples for that. So that is another way of communicating. Apart from that, you can use time, space, taste, music, gestures. All of these can be used in your communication process, like as a non-verbal form of communication. Okay, so continuing on that, let's quickly look at some questions. Now, what is the need for traffic signs on the road? Anybody can answer that to me? Why do you need traffic signs on the roads? So you can unmute your mic and answer, or else you can even type your answer in the chat. Either way you can communicate. So here we are going to have a verbal and a written form of communication or visual communication. So can somebody answer the question, what is the need for traffic signs on the roads? Why do we need to use them? Any idea? Nobody has any answers? Sajita, Jennifer, Akshan? Okay, one answer is there. To travel safely. Yeah, that is one reason. Also, to make it a more generic answer, we can say to be more aware of, to be more cautious on the roads, right? So that's one thing. Why do you use a map to locate a place when you go to an unknown region? So map, we have learned map is another visual form of communication. So why do you think we use a map? When you go to an unknown region. Imagine you are traveling, you're going on a tour. You don't have a map, what do you do? What happens? You lose your way or you are wasting your time, right? So yeah, to get an idea about a place or to know where you're going, you want to reduce your time, you don't want to waste your time. So these could be the answers. Yes. Third one, why do you want to draw a plan before building a house? Yes. Why do you want to draw a plan before building a house? Can't you build a house without a plan? I know some people do that. Okay. To get an idea about the building. Okay, to get an idea about the building before building. Okay, accepted, an answer. Any other different opinions? Yeah, so basically we need to have a blueprint. We call it as a blueprint, right? So without that information, without visualizing that, it will be difficult to plan, right? Mostly it's about planning. So if once you have an idea about how the building is looking like only, then you can go for purchasing resources and etc. When you face an interview, why do you wear a tie or attend it in the best possible dress? Okay, that's a interesting question. You might wonder why this is coming under communication, or what do you say, the forms of communication. Anybody can answer that question. Why, when you face an interview, why do you go nicely? Why do you wear something? To work properly. No, the question is about when you face an interview. When you face an interview, why do you wear it? To face the interview successfully. No, not even close to the answer. Interview anyway you have to face successfully. That is a different story. But why do you wear so the whole objective of the question is why do you have to dress nice? So, or attend it in the best possible dress. So you can answer it in one word: to impress, isn't it? To impress somebody, or to impress the person who is going to interview you. Right. Next question. Why is a particular brand of soap or toothpaste selected by a customer? Think of it in terms of visual communication. Why do you think people choose a particular brand, especially when it comes to soaps or toothpaste, for example? Do you think that people choose toothpaste? Do they look at the ingredients and things every time? Do you think that is practical? No. Right. Mostly visual things matter, no? When you see a color, for example, if it's a signal or if it's a glow guard, people are already used to the color, the logo, right? So that itself conveys and attracts a customer, right? And they are already used to that color. They are already used to that logo, and people don't look at anything else. They know this is going to look like this, and they'll just go and pick it up, right? So there is a message with it. And why do producers spend a lot of money on packaging? Why do producers spend a lot of money on packaging? Again, this is related to the previous question. To increase their quality and productivity. Yes, exactly. That's one answer we can accept. So when you have a good packaging, for example, let's say selling a toothpaste. We'll take this previous example again. Selling a toothpaste just without the box and with the box will matter, right? Because that box is not going to do anything to you, right? You can simply sell the toothpaste without the box also. Why do you have that box? Is it conveys a visual message. You have a nice thing, and if you have a box, like you can use it for you can if you're traveling somewhere without any damage, if you want to take that toothpaste from one place to another place, it's a convenient way of packing it into your suitcase or your purse or something, right? So as you see, uh, in those terms, you can see how things matter in communication. So the answer is that each of these actions conveys a message in the form of visual communication. Can you write at least one message conveyed by? So this is a practice we already discussed. Okay, so moving on to other forms of communication. So under visual, the dress. So we saw under interview how dress is going to impress. So here same thing is explained a little bit in detail. To help you to understand how visuals function as a form of communication, let's take the dress or the attire as an example. If a person goes to a shop shabbily dressed, shabbily means you just without ironing or you just soon after you wash the dress and just put it on and go. That is called shabbily dressed. Do you think the shop assistants will be interested in helping that person? They'll think that somebody has come from the uh, toilet or something like that, right? So people will not get impressed. The message the dress will convey to them is that he or she is not a customer to be valued or a customer who has purchasing power. So you must have often seen how a well-dressed person is treated in an office. Even the traffic police, so exactly the same thing came to my mind. They have given it here. Even the traffic police are reluctant to charge a well-dressed person. Similarly, a well-educated and a rich person may not be treated with respect if his dress does not suit the occasion. Most of you guys might also experience, even we have experienced when we go on the motorbike or something. Going on the motorbike with a t-shirt has a difference than going with a jacket put on. When you have a jacket put on and you have worn a sunglass or something like that, most of these traffic police, they don't bother to stop you. They just leave. Apart from that, when you just go with a t-shirt or a shirt, they will stop you. So you can see that dress matters. If you dress nicely, people will treat you nice. So that's the message conveyed. Okay. So again, assume that you have to attend the following in the next few days. Think about the attire you're going to select for each. So what type of dress code you're going to select. Like you can't use the same dress code for all scenarios, right? Certain cultures, we have to respect certain cultures. Some people, it doesn't matter. So for example, funerals, yes, mostly people avoid, wearing color or, like batik kind of dress, right? Mostly it is white or black. Especially, I know, like, this Christian or Buddhist funerals and all, we have to go in a particular attire. But when you consider uh, Muslim funerals, that is not a matter. Mostly, you can come in any color code. But we have to understand, like other cultures, that has to be respected. Again, going for a wedding, yes. If you go in a nice, nicely dressed, this coat suit or a sari or a, proper way, you will be treated well at a wedding. So that has a special code. Again, interview, we discussed you have to go dressed nicely and then only you'll be treated well. Or to welcome a foreign buyer at a airport. In a business scenario, how do you impress a customer or a person who is arriving? And the first impression you receive the foreigner is going to give a whole picture about how our country is about and how pleasant our country is. So that impression is important. So dress matters. Then religious ceremony at a holy place. When you visit religious sites, there are certain strict dress codes we have to maintain. So all these are, although we say these are cultures or things like that, but mostly it's about visual communication, right? It impresses people. List 5 occupations which require uniform. So this is this simple example exercise. Why do these occupations? You have to think about why these occupations are requiring these uniforms. What message does the uniform convey? Right? You can think in many scenarios. Now imagine people, children going to school without uniforms. So I don't know how it will look like, right? So when you see a person in a particular uniform, you can identify whether this person is a student or not. Similarly, if you go to public offices like the banks or the post office and all, you have these, yes, exactly, nurses. So nurses are, if you don't, if imagine if the nurses are just coming with their regular household dress and all, right? It will be very odd, difficult to differentiate. Mostly we get this confusion in hotels, no? When you go to certain hotels in Sri Lanka, hotels in the sense like the normal restaurants, you know, the waiters, it's very difficult to identify who is the waiter, who is the customer, because most of these people don't wear uniforms. So you can see how dress plays an important role in communication, right? Um, so I was talking about these public places. You have the security guards, right? So they have that kind of a funny dress, right? I don't say funny, like, you know, you have that police-like thing. Sometimes when you think maybe police, it might be suitable to have that tags on the shoulders and all, because that is more suitable for the policemen. Why do these security guards also have is because they want to represent that they are kind of a police. Otherwise, just a color uniform is enough for them. So those definitely convey a message. Right. Discuss the advantage and disadvantage of wearing a uniform to school. So you can think about that. So the appearance of a person is also a form of visual communication. Once you become a part of the business world, cleanliness, neatly combed hair, clean fingernails, and a well-shaved face are extremely important for gents. This is something that tells the other people what you think of yourself. Thus, it is also a message that you convey to others. Okay, let's see how many more pages are there in this chapter. Okay, few more. Then you have signs and symbols. They are becoming increasingly used as a form of communication. Signs have become a universal language, and such they are very lavishly used in places like airports and highways, which are used by people speaking different languages. Okay, so signs and symbols are universal way of communication, right? Any people from any background, regardless of their language or culture, signs and symbols are going to help a lot of people. So, for example, the thing I mentioned about parking, no parking sign, or the road traffic symbols and all, they are very universal, right? Anybody from any background can understand that. So pay a visit to the Katnayak International Airport and collect the signs that are found there. Now, I don't know whether you guys will go and do that. So this is just given as an example to get an idea what kind of message is conveyed. So travel along a main road and locate different signs that you come across. Examine the message that's the sign give you. Okay. So that is sign. Symbol. Symbols are different from signs. An example of an international symbol is the 7 rings of the Olympic Games. Okay. Which don't denote the 7 continents. So you can see the difference between signs and symbols. Signs are more of, you know, quick messages and things like that. But when you say symbols, they have a deep meaning, right? So Olympic Games, there are symbols used by different organizations as well, which are called mostly logos. Now, Sri Lankan Airways, you know, you have this peacock. Bank of Ceylon has a certain thing. Elephant House Products, they have this elephant sign. Sampath Bank, you know, they have that, I don't know how you call that, Sinhala, which represents wealth, no, prosperity. So symbols have, or the logos have deep meanings. So these logos deliver a message. So a customer of Sampath Bank wanting to get some money using a set card will stop as soon as he sees the logo of the Sampath Bank. This is because he has received the visual communication regarding the location of a place where he is able to get the money. So again, coming back to visual communication discussion. Now, if you look at certain boards, logos play a very important role, right? Mostly, I don't know if you have visited certain places now. If there are very tall buildings, you can't have a complete name of the company or the institution displayed in a board, right? It's a very easy way to communicate that this is at this location. It's good to have the logo only displayed in a large size. A very good example is now if you go along Naranpiti in Colombo, it's a very lengthy road. So to locate the AAT office, you can see the AAT sign will be very big on the top of the building, and from a distant place itself you can notice it is there. Similarly, Lanka Hospitals, they have their Lanka Hospitals logo the very top of the building. So from any place you can easily identify where these things are located. Right. Apart from that, trademarks. So trademarks are directly related to the products of the firm. For example, the private telephone company Lanka Bell has 2 rings as its trademark, which is an indication of the ringing of the phone. I haven't checked that. Let's see whether. So each individual company have meanings. They convey a message. So Lanka Bell. Okay, so these 2 rings. So we might have seen these 2 rings as just all these days maybe as just 2 rings, but they seem to have a meaning. It's part of the company. It's an indication of the ringing of the phone. Similarly, Air Lanka, Sri Lankan Airlines, they have a trademark of a peacock. The meaning is reminding the flying vehicle of King Ravana in Ramayana. So they have a cultural background behind that logo. So certain companies will have their meanings like that. Like that, if you look at every company, mostly these larger companies, they will have they don't create logos just for fun, right? They will have a hidden meaning behind each of their logos. Right. Then considering color, Nimal is going to attend a funeral of a friend's father, for example. The funeral is in a village 75 kilometers away. He has never been to his ancestral home, and now he has to find the place. So he goes in his car and reaches the town, notified in the obituary notice. On inquiring from a 3-wheel driver, he was told to drive another 2 kilometers on a side road. As he proceeded, he saw the road decorated with white flags. See, by following which he was able to find the place easily. Even for Muslim cultures and all, we don't have this way of decorating and stuff like that. But sometimes I do wonder why these things are happening. For a long time, it was not clear, and after some days only we realized that these decorations are visual communication. Right? It's an indication. Even in some funerals, I know, like you stick, you paste some white marks on the road also, both sides of the road, or you have these flags and all, right? So you can see people have been using that as a form of communication, visual communication. Okay, so certain other question, what was the message given by the white flags? So white flags indicate that somebody has died or passed away. What does a red flag near a broken culvert indicate to you? I'm not sure what is the meaning of culvert. Figure that out. Why do you stop your vehicle when you see the amber light lighting up after green? Amber means that yellow sign, right? Yellow color light. Or get ready to start when amber follows red. So why do you stop your vehicle? So yellow is an indicator of being alert, being warning, get ready or something like that. During election times, when you see the area decorated with blue flags, so whose meeting do you expect to watch? So we are popular with the colors, we know. So it will give a clear sign of some party has come. Green, red, blue, right? Different colors, orange, yellow. Sometimes mix of colors are also there, which is difficult to identify which political party it is. Okay. So color is used in communication for a number of purposes. To identify something, for example, Nimal identified the funeral house of the friend because of the white flags. So to identify or to communicate instructions, for example, the red flag near the broken culvert gave the instruction, okay, to keep away or to indicate danger or to capture attention. So these three things you can note down. Is used to identify something, to communicate instructions, to capture some attention. Okay. Okay. So coming to a realistic scenario in your business environment, what are the colors used to highlight important points in a business letter? What are the colors used to depict areas covered with water, plains, highlands, and ice covered land in a map showing physical features of the world? People who have learned geography know what to show for what thing. Mostly for water, we may not use red or blue, I mean red or green or anything like that, right? Water is depicted by blue. Plains, highlands are depicted by green or the shades of green. Ice is mostly, light blue or white. So these are like naturally inherited visual representations we have learned from schools, right? So this is same thing that is used in maps and all. What is the significance of using a red pen to mark answer scripts? Why do you have to use red pen? Think about it. What is the color of the pen that auditors use? Auditors means now you people maybe will be involved in going and checking for audits. I don't know what color they use. So they may have a reason why they use certain colors when they're doing audit reports. So how do you identify the current, neuter, and earth wires of an electrical appliance? Think of a plug. You have different colors there, right? So without those colors in the wires, it will be difficult to know which is the live wire, or that's what is called current wire. What is the neutral, what is the earth? So colors play an important role, as you see. Okay, so I will keep the lesson short for today and stop at this point. I just went through the past papers. So here is, now you have to do a lot of exercises now onwards. Now November 2019 and May 2019, November 2018 and May 2018. These four papers have a pattern. Mostly these are part of the new syllabus, I believe. And all the other past papers I noticed, they have a different structure, right? For example, I noticed that with the first question, part A, part B questions, the part A is speech. So if you look at this one, write a 10-minute speech that you as the HR manager would deliver on the topic of professionalism in the workplace at an induction training program for new employees. If you look at 2018 November, write a 15-minute speech that you may deliver to an audience in your office on the topic of embracing diversity at workplace. May 2019, same thing, different topic, gender-based treatment at the workplace. November 2019, part A or question 1. Same thing. At the workplace, face-to-face communication is more important than written communication. So every question has the same format where you are required to write. So here it says 10 minutes, here it says 15-minute speech. What indicates by 15 minutes? If you search the internet and see, 15 minutes is approximately like 1,500 to 2,000 words, because you can see the weightage of the marks given for this question. So it's like nearly writing a small article, right? So approximately 1,500 to 2,000 words need to be written. So now what I'm going to do is, before we go into the other ones, I want you, I'll give you a timeline. So particularly I want you to do last November exam. Now this May, I don't know whether they're going to conduct or not. It's not relevant. I want you to take this November 2019 paper. Maybe you can download it from their website, or I'll end of the lecture I'll share this file in the chat itself, so you can download it to your phones or your computer. I want you, all three of you, or whoever is attending this lecture, to attempt this question. Preparing a 15-minute speech that you may deliver to an audience in your office on the topic, at the workplace, face-to-face communication is more important than written communication. So I want all of you to attempt this. Maybe type it in a Word. So maybe first you have to write it down. Either way you can do it. If you write it down is also fine, because anyway in the exam you're going to write it down. Or type it in a Word document, and I will give you a deadline. Maybe 4-5 days should be enough, because these days I know most of you are at home. Take your time and write this, and you have to send it to me either through email or through Skype or WhatsApp. Anyway, any mode of communication you can use. I will need to see all your writings, because then only I can give my feedback on what needs to improve in your writing, things like that. So to give some hints, since they are asking about a speech, so imagine that you are going to do a speech to a person. So how will you start? So you may start, okay, good morning everyone. So you will have that as one sentence there, right? I'm going to discuss about this, or you can start it like this. Today I would like to talk on the topic, I would like to discuss the topic on face-to-face communication and written communication, how it is important. Like that you can open up your article or your speech just like when you're doing a real speech. So those 2 or 3 sentences will be your beginning. Then you will go into your proper organizing of your points. Right? So before starting to write something, first take down some notes on what is the message you're going to convey to your people. So think of your scenario. If you are working in some office, already some of you are working, you may have experience. So imagine if you are the person going to talk on this topic to your fellow colleagues. Consider that scenario and start writing in that manner. So at the first attempt, don't go and start writing. First take notes, take important notes, and then follow the advice what I said. Start up with your opening statements and then keep on going.